host, Kevin Barrier, and welcome to 5 Dubs Marketing Pros, where we highlight awesome brands and the stories behind them, and maybe just maybe geek out on all things marketing. All right, so today I am super excited to chat with two extraordinary women who, along with many other dedicated team members, seized an opportunity to expand a well-known brand into a well-known event series. These events bring energizing and empowering networking sessions, highlighting rising professional stars, all of which meant to expand connections into bunches and bunches of areas in the Southern Maryland region. They live and breathe their company mantra, which is to inform, innovate, inspire, and be your community connection. I am excited to introduce Kristi English, Director of Marketing and Events, and Betsy Griffin, Regional Advertising Director of APG Media of Chesapeake. Hello. Yeah, awesome. So this one, for everyone listening, this won't come out until I think August 30th. But for us right now, it's August 11th, and it's a Friday. So happy Friday to everyone.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I know you two are busy, and I appreciate you taking the time. So I want to dive right in. I stumbled across the this event series that you guys are holding right now through seeing a post that Jim Normandin, the president of APG of Chesapeake and actually of Florida as well, was giving really high praises to. He mentioned Kristi and your team and Betsy and your team on all of the great work you're doing with this event, and it made me think like, well, what am I missing? So I did a little more digging because I was curious. I wanted to know, and it looks like these event series kind of have been built off of this brand, Women to Watch. So I kind of want to start there. So Betsy, talk to me a little bit about what APG's Women to Watch brand is, and if I were an advertiser, what do I need to know to consider aligning my brand with the Women to Watch brand?
Sure. So we launched Women to Watch 3 years ago. It is a hotly contested and wildly popular contest in all of our markets. It results in 3 separate magazines that are published in the spring. One focuses on our Upper Shore Women to Watch. One focuses on our Southern Maryland Women to Watch. And the third focuses on our Mid-Shore Women to Watch. And all of these markets have community judges that are paired with our editorial staff, that are paired with our internal planning committee. And each nomination portal that opens up right after the new year receives about 300 plus nominations in one of those markets of just superlatively amazing women that are excelling in academia, excelling in philanthropy, excelling in technology, excelling in the home, excelling within, their nonprofit boards. And of that large number of nominations, our community judges come together and have the arduous decision of deciding on 13 that we profile in each magazine. So that process takes a good 3 months. We publish who the 13 are, and Kristi steps in and has a wonderful reveal event in the Midshore at a local theater. And this was our very first event to launch and to share all of these women's accomplishments at this networking event this spring.
That's awesome. So, okay, so the connection between the publication, the effort itself, right, the nomination phase, the community engagement, and kind of like translating that into an event really spurred from the initial infrastructure of the campaign that you were doing. It's the whole kind
That's
of
right.
a celebration event, and then you just built off of there. And Kristi, so the event that I saw Jim sing high praises to you and your teams for was for, or is for, I should say, the summer speaker series that you're doing right now. But I, again, in doing a little more digging, I see that that's not the first event that's been tied to Women to Watch. But you've been doing a lot of other events that have been very community facing, tied to this Women to Watch brand for quite some time now. Um, Talk to me a little bit about that and kind of how that's where it started versus where it is now.
Sure, sure. So the reveal event, and that was just came about when we were deciding on events to launch for this year, and we thought, wow, that would be just amazing, wouldn't it? It would be sort of our best of the best, but made up for these women, and so that particular event was definitely the springboard for our summer speaker series. So having that event and just seeing the women nominees who attended and their guests, it was definitely a need being met within the community to have more of these networking events, and seeing how people reacted to it. And then, of course, with the summer speaker series being introduced, seeing these panelists who are definite influencers in their communities. So we are basing our summer speaker series one in every county on the midshore. So we have five counties that we serve with our papers in the midshore, and so there's one panel in every county. So on the panel there are women from different walks of life, different industries. We definitely tried to get a nice, diverse group together, including the moderator of the panel, just to make sure that everyone's voice was out there and well represented. And then from that, we wanted to make sure that they were influencers in their community, and that they would have the support to for people to buy the tickets to attend the event, because we of course are serving breakfast. We are giving the attendees a beach tote with their purchase, and to really give them the full professional experience. We're offering a headshot as well. So I mean, as you know, that's something very vital when you when you're asked for a headshot. Do you have one handy? Well, now 150 plus women do, because they attended the summer speaker series and have one to upload. So so that first event publication was really the springboard to launch off the series. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for swag.
Yeah.
I need a beach
Well, this is
bag.
great too. I'll send you one, Kevin.
Thank you, thank you. And yeah, and you mentioned things like, professional headshot, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like that's incredibly important within, especially for a young professional that's trying to make a name for themselves. There's so
Right.
many places where a headshot benefits them,
Hmm.
right down to even having like a Blink profile right now for like a digital business card. It's
Right.
incredibly
Right.
vital. So, these events, it's as you're creating these initiatives, Betsy, whether it be the promotional collateral, Kristi, whether it be, the operations of the event itself and kind of conceptualizing out these ideas, I mean, it's apparent that you're thinking about it's community first, right?
Mhm.
It's like it screams that you're doing this for the community that you serve. So, what are some things that you think about when you're trying to improve an event or create a new event, through the lens of thinking about how it truly benefits the community that your media is in?
That's a great question. We have a few very vocal community leaders who will absolutely volunteer information, and they're very active in the community events, and so that's where we do get feedback from. It's also just social media as well. We see a lot of engagement with the activity and posts on there, but we do encourage feedback on these events.
See, and that's awesome because,
Yeah.
a lot of media companies as a whole, really a lot of businesses as a whole, as
Hmm.
they try to identify like, okay, how can we make a product, service, event, whatever it is, benefit our consumer, or and your consumer is the community, right? I mean, that's what media, the community is the media company's consumer. And a lot of the times, you see that they're looking from the outside in, right? They're not really engaging. They're not going through the door and having that conversation with the community and saying like, well, what would you like to see?
Hmm.
What would benefit you? So definitely commend you on that. That's incredible. That's a rarity, but something that I think is an important takeaway for anyone that's thinking about, how to address creating something that solves a need to a consumer or community. And as your events have grown, Betsy, I'm sure, there's, folks that want to come in and, sponsor these events. And I see you have a lot of different sponsors, a lot of diversity in your sponsorship, which is awesome. Talk to me a little bit from that standpoint, as businesses are considering sponsoring the event, because that's important, right? You need sponsorships to help create a foundation on that event. Talk to me about how those efforts have grown over time.
Well, our sponsors are incredibly important because they're what makes it gives us the ability to produce, the event. I think one of the things that the sponsors really like is that we give back to the community after the event. So one of the things that we've looked at, there's a parallel, Kevin, between the transition women are making as they get nominated, through walking through difficult times and coming out and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And all of these women to be nominated have had to walk through different challenges to their comfort level. So we chose a nonprofit to gift a donation to the Midshore Council Against Family Violence. And it serves all of the Midshore counties, and it too is servicing women that are going through difficult transitions. So we thought there was a like parallel there. And I think our sponsors really appreciate the care in which we've thought about that and its overall impact on the community. Our sponsors like to be associated with all the women. We had the Easton Business Alliance schedule a huge group photo in front of the Tidewater Inn, and it was so wildly popular, we had to move our site because we had, Kristi, 75, 100
Oh,
plus
at
women
least.
show up. And
At least,
Kristi
yeah.
and I are driving to the site, and you see all these merchants leaving their building, going down the street to the Tidewater Inn. And so that was a big plus, that the sponsors got to take advantage of and whatnot. And we also had a sponsor who jumped in and provided the mocktail oversight. And we all got lessons, and our APG colleagues got lessons on how the proper way to mix a mocktail was. And that was wildly popular too. And that was thanks to our sponsors.
Out mocktail. So what was the mocktail that they
Oh my gosh.
had you
There
perform? Do
were
you remember?
three choices and
Three choices.
I know, I can't even remember what they were, but they were so fun though. It was, yeah, these like the cat's meow, like different little like play on phrases like that. So it was really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And one thing I really love,
Mhm.
Betsy, that you talked about was, the stories behind these professional women who have been nominated, and like the diversity of stories of like an obstacle overcome. We run a campaign ourselves for a client that's the goal, is to talk about obstacles that these different individuals have overcome. Is there a story of a past young professional that was nominated that really resonated with either one of you that you'd like to share? Oh, Betsy has one. Oh,
Ah,
Our cover, don't you think, Kristi?
oh, definitely. Yeah, Amani's amazing.
So this is Amani Black, and Amani went through a very difficult time in her early career, and she spoke at Kristi's event very candidly about the ups and downs and all arounds, which ultimately ended employment in one area and caused her to rethink, re-strategize, and pre-plan. And now she's launched her successful nonprofit for minorities and aquaculture.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'll need to make sure that we get that information in our show notes.
We
So
will.
I'll make
He,
sure.
he
That's
was
incredible.
he was great, and she actually was running a little late to the event because she was busily coaching her lacrosse team. So she spoke from the stage in her hoodie.
Authenticity. That is,
Authenticity.
well, and stories like that, because if when anyone falls on hard times, whatever those hard times may be, it's a like sometimes it feels like that's a really deep well that it's hard to get out of. So hearing those stories from someone like that to someone that may be in that obstacle right now, I mean that's so incredibly important in the community, and it's a refreshing piece of content in a world where there's just a lot of crazy stories going on right now. So it's
Yeah.
very different and it's very versatile. Talk to me about how that kind of message, right? So Amani, correct?
Amani.
Yep.
Amani.
Amani
So talk to me
Black.
how Amani Black's message, like, so you have this awesome piece of content from this incredible story from an incredible young woman. Talk to me about how you're disseminating her story out using your different audience channels.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Right.
you're thinking like social media, you
Mhm.
got social media, you got the event itself. As a media company, you have so many different buckets or so many different ways of communicating with your audience. Talk to me how you're really taking that content and making the most out of it and really cannibalizing it and repurposing it for different areas that you can get
Sure.
that message out.
Sure. Well, initially, we got lots of requests for video and live stream. And so this next upcoming series is going to be held in a theater in which we can live stream and video. So internally, we'll be videoing it and placing it in our channels to target people, especially we find that the younger generation
Mhm.
and our generation love this content. So the targeting will be towards the 20 to 30 plus somethings as well as the 50 pluses. And we find that, along with those professional headshots, a lot of the younger people show up for the professional headshots. And so they are the purveyors of this content. They like to eat that up. And what they really resonate with the Q&A panels um, with Kevin is hearing the link, as you mentioned, of their background. There was somebody that spoke this week at a Queen Anne's event from a very difficult abusive background and how she went on to make an $8.5 million company. So what we'd like to do ultimately is
Wow.
video that and put that out there so that the art of the possible becomes really relevant for the younger generations.
See, and that's incredible. I got goosebumps because
Mhm.
that's such an important story to get out. That and stories like that usually are commonly overshadowed by, um, you know, uh, just holistically. And I'm talking about more
Mhm.
from the mainstream media side of things. I think community media gets it right, but there's a lot of area of opportunity for larger media companies where if it bleeds, it leads, right? And they're looking for clicks, and I think it's that type of story, like the unsung hero or the
Mhm.
obstacle overcome. I mean, that generates so many smiles, so much
Mhm.
inspiration, and gets a lot of engagement as well. And I'm a greedy marketer. I want engagement. I want to see my content doing well. So like it's a rare win-win within our marketing world, Betsy. Just we're cut from the same cloth in that way, where we want to put out great content, but we want to put it out to a lot of people. And I think that type of content really, really resonates, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit, Kristi, about how, and you touched on this before, but I'd
Mhm.
like to go in a little bit deeper on like how you choose the different panelists.
Mhm.
And I'm speaking kind of more to the summer speaker series because in
Right.
looking through who you have
Mhm.
as panelists, I mean,
Mhm.
it's incredibly diverse. It
Mhm.
seems to me that it's like the who's who.
Mhm.
It's again we're recording this on August 11th. By August 30th, when we're slating for this to come out, your August 23rd event will already be done. But for
Right.
those that are listening, figure out how to go back in time to wherever you were and whatever you were doing on August 11th at 1:27 p.m. and kind of let's pretend we're going back in time. So, your your August. It's because it's August 23rd, right?
Right, right.
That's your
That's
last
the
event,
last
right?
one. Yep, yep.
And your last event, I mean,
Mhm.
has like the mayor of Easton,
Right,
right?
right,
And
exactly.
and a bunch of others that
Mhm,
have that same height of echelon. I mean,
mhm.
that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
that is not a thrown together panelist list. I mean,
No.
that's a carefully curated
Mhm.
bunch of panelists.
Well,
You know,
thank
how do
you.
you yeah, how do you approach that?
Right. So, most of the panelists come from our nominated women list. So, referencing that whole list of, that spans the entire midshore. Um, and then a lot of them we know they are partners with APG. We know them through friends, and it's really they really are the community leaders, and in some cases, when I wasn't sure about a particular county, like maybe who to go after, we talked to the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development, the people in the community who would know the leaders, know the nonprofit organizations who are really making a difference.
That's awesome. That
And
and
then as far as
it's the
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just saying the benefits of, there's collateral benefits. What
Hmm.
I see is I'm thinking about that from like an analytical hat is like
Hmm.
you're leveraging the fact that you're already connected in the community,
Hmm.
right? So you get to leverage that benefit, but you're also, it's like there's a beautiful simplicity in the idea of being able to feature nominated women that the community have nominated. So you're bringing these leaders that the community is essentially nominating to want to be heard from there. I mean,
Yeah.
like there's a beautiful simplicity in that. It's very omni-channel in
Hmm.
that approach. So,
Yeah.
so brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Um, so so as we're kind of rolling into the final moments,
Hmm.
here together, I think in our world, I think one of the overarching themes that I see here today is like our job is to connect with the communities in which we serve in various ways. And one of those ways is to connect businesses with consumers in the communities we serve. And a great way to do that's events, right? I mean, events are a way to bring two people together face to face for a handshake and a connection. But event planning is a heavy lift. I'm sure, Kristi, you would agree to that. What are some tips and tricks for those that aren't as perhaps experienced in putting such a large event on and a series of events, not just one, but a series over the course of a summer.
Right.
What are some tips and tricks that you could
Well,
share? Maybe some things that you've learned along the way.
sure.
Coffee and
Absolutely.
exercise.
Coffee and exercise.
Absolutely. Well, I completely agree, and I have to say, when I took on the series, I wanted to make sure that we had one in every county, and maybe a month before we were going to release it, it truly felt heavy. I thought, boy, we sure did get in it, didn't we? So, but now that we're at the end of it, I'm so thankful that we went through the entire series and went through every county. I think that we would have done a disservice to the community if we did not have an event in a county, rather for one reason or another. But it's absolutely the team that you have behind you. I mean, if with Betsy, and she's really just at my side, throughout the entire thing, giving suggestions, asking if I've thought about this or that, and really just a soundboard for different ideas. And
Oh,
then
Christy, you make it easy.
good. And then we have an
I,
incredible marketing team as well. And we have the power of the papers, our digital marketing, our social marketing, and with that, there's no question of how we're going to promote it. I mean, that's done. That's our back pocket. It's what I have found with this, it's a lot of grassroots marketing. And I know, Betsy, you same thing, where we took the sales flyers out to different businesses, walked them around, had them post them in their store windows. just to talk to the community members about what was happening and then how they could be part of it. And in doing so, I feel like it was completely different than trying to sell a product to them, because we were inviting them to this event. We were in the community saying, look at this really amazing thing that's going on right here. And the people who are going to be, on the panel. So it really, it's a happy, exciting, series to plan. So it was, with that, I felt just rewarded at every single event that, so many people were coming away from it just so connected and feeling that support of the network behind them. So you were just ready to get to the next one, because it's just going to be even more incredible, and we're building on this such a strong foundation.
That's so great. That's so great. Betsy, what were you going to say?
Well, Kristi really did an amazing job putting together all these influencers. It was a really forward-thinking event. It was an interesting blend of old school. Here we are, and connecting with our community with our sales flyers. Can you put this in your your window, please? Oh, sure, we'd be happy to. There's that. But then also we're using our influencers, the people that we fostered through the years, these deep, rich, steeped in community type of relationships. So, it's kind of the best of all worlds. But, it was amazing to me how quickly Kristi assembled the influencers in each county, and everybody came to hear what they had to say, because it was really meaningful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Betsy too, as us marketers of the world, and Kristi absolutely as well too. We all are, right? We're all here cut from the same cloth. We always look for ways, as we're analyzing, sometimes perhaps over analyzing, like our efforts and the campaigns that we're putting out there, like we're looking for ways to optimize, right? How can we make it better to better serve the end user? So Betsy, what's one thing perhaps that you've learned this year that you may look to apply to like future efforts, either in the events that are covered under the Women to Watch brand, or maybe the Women to Watch brand itself? What's one thing that you've learned that you want to optimize for next year?
Sure. I think this is an easy one. Everybody loved, Kevin, the networking at the event. Mm-hmm. They loved the idea of finding out who nominated them at the event. They liked that idea. That was just captivating for people.
So the nominees find out who nominated, or are they just kind of like sleuthing around under the cover of night?
They try to sleuth around, and we hold it close to our chest. We do not reveal that. And they call members of our staff to find out who.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's a biggie. So that is something that we're going to expand upon. We're also going to expand upon, in the name of feedback. A sponsor gave us some really good feedback that people in a county know each other well, but they may not know 2 counties away. So we're going to have some strategic networking questions, and one person's going to have one question, and somebody from decidedly and strategically another county will have the answer, which is going to kind of encourage a little bit more networking among those that may not know each other.
See, that's great. That's what I love to hear. So, you see the community loves the networking end of it. So then really fracking down into that and looking to kind of connect these separate county factions together. That's next level. It's like, it's beautifully simple. It brings a smile to my face, but it's beautiful. It's
right.
It's something that I can tell you for myself. I could probably do analysis to paralysis over, something like this. And that would never be something that would come to mind for me.
Exactly. It was really good information that we really couldn't have foreseen until we had year one.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you two taking the time. So our time's coming to an end, and I want to thank you two so much for the time to speak to me, and for all of the great things you're doing for the community, for you and your team. I think it's important to recognize everyone that's at APG that has a hand in this. I think it's power in numbers. It takes a village. And also want to thank you for all the amazing things I know you'll be doing in the future. So thank you for that. So all right, listeners, thank you for listening. This is your friendly marketing geek signing off. So until next time, call Betsy and Kristi to sponsor their events for the future, forever and ever and ever. All right, goodbye. Five Dubs Marketing Pros is hosted by me, Kevin Barrier. Our executive producer is MDDC Executive Director Rebecca Snyder. Post-production by Caroline Pecora. Our theme music is by Azulu Studio. A special thank you to our guests for being with us. You can find Five Dubs and Five Dubs Marketing Pros on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.